Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Wooed Up podcast, where spirituality meets reality. We are on episode 8. That is 8. Count them,
You like
folks.
that?
That is 8.
Gang, gang.
Also known as this.
Perspective,
Yeah.
Neither is right or wrong. It just is.
Both are.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Precisely.
What are we talking about today?
Today, we are talking about, as we alluded to in the last episode, the in-between.
Mm-hmm.
And what that feels like, and what do you do while you're in the in-between.
Mm-hmm.
And hint, you do not go backwards.
No. Well, you might.
Well, you might, but like the recommendation is you don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And if you do,
It's okay. It's okay.
but like try not to.
Yeah.
But if you do, sometimes, and we're going to talk about that, right? What happens when you,
Yeah.
when you go back and then you're like, oh shit, I fail. And you got to get right back up, honey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what does the in-between mean to you?
I was just going to ask you that.
Gotcha.
So the in-between is that like those points in your life that you are not, you're not going back to your past,
Mm-hmm.
but also you're not quite yet to the future that you're working toward.
Yeah.
And what I said at the very end of the last episode was that is life. Life is all the in-between.
Mm-hmm.
Every moment, if you're living in the moment, you are in the in-between.
Yeah.
So as much as we might be like, I don't like the in-between, like I want to go back to my comfort zone in the past and what I know and what's comfortable and friendly and whatever else, or I just want to be in my future already. Like, I just want this to be happening for me. I just want to know what it is. I just want to see it. I just want to feel it. I've already worked. I've already surrendered for it.
It sounds like literally something that you and I have said many a times during this journey.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
But then it's like, how many cards have we pulled, oracle cards, where it's like, trust in the in-between, surrender to the in-between, relish in the in-between.
Like, it's coming.
Yeah, like, be thankful always for
Yeah.
everything, for the in-between.
Yeah.
And it's like, now that I'm thinking about it, it's like life is literally the in-between.
All of it.
If you're in the moment, you're in the in-between. You're not in your past and you're not in your future. You're in the moment. You're in the in-between.
Well, you're in the in-between, but you're also at the goal that you had once set for yourself.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting concept. It's like, okay, like I've made it here, but now I want to go over there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, you've met the end of that journey, but like you're still very much so in the in-between.
Yeah.
And
also to counterplay on that, you're also at the beginning of the future.
Yeah.
You are where you've worked hard towards, that you had once wished about, manifested, hoped for.
Yep.
But you're also, at the bottom of the mountain that you're hoping to be at the top of the mountain of.
Yeah, it's like you climb a mountain and then you fall down and then you climb a mountain and then
You don't have to fall
well, not
down.
fall down, but you climb the mountain and then you look and then there's just that's the end of that mountain.
Yeah.
But there's another mountain right after that mountain and you're gonna climb that baby. Because what are you gonna do? You're gonna go back down? Like all of that work it took you to get on top of that mountain, you're gonna walk back down?
Well, and it's also like when you look backwards, the other mountain that you just came from, it doesn't look like a mountain anymore, does it?
Right.
And you're like, I'm just gonna come back into this cave now.
Yeah.
Like you came out the other side of the mountain and you're like, oh, there's a nice cave here that I can
Just
rest
hang
in
out
for a little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes that's necessary. We need a little hermit mode every now and then.
Totally.
Yeah.
But I think also hermit mode.
That's disgusting in the podcast.
Canceled. In hermit mode, it'll start to look different,
Yeah.
every mountain that you pass, like what you're doing in your hermit mode and the way that you think of your hermit mode. Today I can't say it. It's gonna look different.
Yeah.
And gosh, and that is so true, because I'm thinking about a recent in-between of mine, and we talk about this often, but where I tended to go more towards like anger as an emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I was over that. And then I get tested and then I display anger. And I'm like, man, I thought that I thought I had healed from that. I thought I was better. But I am.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's all about how you look at it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the in between of being that version and my new version.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean that I am my old version, my past self. It also doesn't mean that I'm my future completely healed self.
Yeah.
It just means that I am in the in between where I am looking at my actions
Mm-hmm.
and processing my actions differently
Yep.
than I would have in the past.
Right.
Whereas in the past, like especially in the past, I would have just been like, haha, that was
I don't
funny
give a
as
fuck,
fuck.
Keisha.
Yeah, that was funny as fuck. I'll do it again too.
Right.
But now I'm like, oh, that was embarrassing. Don't do that again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and this time around, especially to use the most recent example, it energetically didn't feel good
Mm-hmm.
at all,
Mm-hmm.
which then came back physically for me.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, not only does that like mentally and emotionally not feel good, but now, especially after our retreat and being in this other dimension where I can feel energy differently, I was like,
hit you, honey.
I gotta protect my energy.
Yeah.
And when I stoop down to a lower frequency like that, that's what that feels like.
Yeah,
and
you
I
don't leave untainted.
And, I can get over it emotionally, process it, shake it out physically, but energetically, like that, you don't know what's happening to you during that time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what's that? There was that video, it was a TikTok or on Instagram where that little boy was talking about how when there is like low vibration happening, like maybe an argument between two people or something negative happens, that is when negative energy is created, and then that negative energy becomes an entity and can go and attach to either one of the people or go attached to something else or be in a home, so it's like you don't always know what's being created or happening to you when you
are in those circumstances.
Yeah. But that's one lesson for sure that I've learned in the in-between recently for me that I'm having to embrace lately is reflecting on similar circumstances is different. You can see your growth in those situations.
1,000%.
And be happy about it. Like I'm so thankful that I looked at the situation differently and didn't have to dwell on it too hard and admit and accept that I'm in the in-between version. I'm not that past version, and thank God, but I'm also not like this, perfect human being walking around.
Right. And I feel like that right there, like that bit of ego for me, like slapped me upside the head when I was tested in a huge in-between phase. And it's this idea of like, oh, okay, well, I've done all this work, done all this healing, like, I'm a better version of myself, and all of those things are true. But also it's like when these circumstances and situations present themselves, how is it that you're going to handle them? And you can handle them pretty well 9 times out of 10, but on the 10th time, and you show your ass, and you're just like, damn, like, how did I end up in this situation? Like, how did I end up behaving in a way that this current version of myself, quote unquote, would not behave in? And having grace with yourself and understanding that, like, it is the in-between, and you're not always going to be one version of yourself or the other, or recognizing that the old version of yourself does still exist within you somewhere. And you were that version of yourself for however long. So you also have to recognize, like, it might take a little while for those belief systems, those patterns, those habits, those behaviors to really truly be put at rest, put in a box and staying there,
But also loving that.
Loving your shadow.
Yeah, loving that version of yourself, because you can't be fully authentically yourself without integrating the shadow or the negative parts of yourself. Like you have to love those parts more than you love the easy parts to love, like to fully bring yourself completely in.
And that's so hard.
It is hard. It really is. It's been 37 years that I've been trying to love the ugly parts of me, quote unquote. Where I fully have like been like, no, you know what? I love that part of me because that has gotten me where I'm at.
Exactly.
And that makes me unique. Like that makes me passionate, for example.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the integration that we've done has really like shined a light on the in-between process and moments for us. And I think, like I said, we're always in the in-between. And a lot of us are always like, I just want this to be happening. I just want this in the future to happen.
Because once this happens, then everything will be better, easier, more comfortable, whatever.
Yeah. Once I find this partner, once I have this job, once I go on this vacation, and it's like,
no, honey.
And when you come back, you're back to the same. Like it's in the moment, in the in-between, in the present. As long as you cherish that and like see the beauty in that, that you truly are embracing life.
Yeah. Because we can speak about the in-between being the in-between, like for us, for example, the present and life's purpose, like our journey towards living in our highest self as far as like career and what it is that we're here to do, right? The in-between of mindset shifts, the in-between of, you know, your healing journey, the in-between financially, the in-between, you know, of like where it is that you're living, like the in-between can be just when you're between one thing and another.
Yeah.
And so that concept can be utilized for all areas of your life. And so it's like, how do we appreciate the now, appreciate the past for what it was, and, you know, of course, continue to work towards the quote unquote goal that you may have for yourself. But also it's like the in-between is the now. And like holding yourself throughout that time is, I feel like, super important.
Yeah, and I want to talk about too, like, how do you hold yourself in the in-between? Like, what do you utilize to comfort yourself in the in-between, to get yourself through the in-between, to going to the next phase of whatever that is, to embrace it. But I also want to talk about for a second how in the spiritual world, when you have certain gifts, like claircognizance, where you just have this inner knowing. And so, for example, like I just know that this is meant for me, whatever that this is. To like have that feeling inside of you to know, like, I know that that's mine. I know that that's what's going to happen for me. But to be like, okay, like I know, but I'm going to just sit here and enjoy this right now while I don't have that.
Yeah.
Like that is so hard.
Yeah.
And it also makes you question like
your inner knowing.
Yeah. And, you know, for eons now, we've been shamed and told to question our inner knowing, and all of our clairs, all of our powers that we have. But yeah, I think that that's really hard when you're like, listen, I know I sound crazy. Yeah. I know I sound woo-woo. I know it sounds delulu. But I know.
Yeah.
I know this is where I'm going. And it's like, you know, I think sometimes people are even like, well, then why aren't you there? Like, why isn't it happening? And it's like, because it's a process.
You don't see it physically manifesting in the 3D just yet.
Yeah.
Well, you can't see what's happening behind the curtain, you know, and the strings that have to connect in order for that, whatever, to come into fruition. Yeah. And, you know, there's been plenty of situations where I'm like, I know, I know that this is whatever. And having to also recognize like, okay, just because I know that this is, or that this will be, doesn't mean that I need to change in a way, like it shouldn't create anxiety within me. If anything, it should provide a bit of peace and solace, and just resting in like, well, I know it's mine and it's for me. So I'm just going to keep doing what I do and chillax and relax and play it cool. And, you know, and then whenever the divine timing is present, then it'll come as it's meant to. But that's not what we do. That's not what I do. I'm like freaking out. I'm like, I'm going to force this thing
Yeah.
to be mine right now because I want it to be.
Yeah.
And it's like the idea of like lacking the patience, and it's just pushing that whatever further and further away from you, from your reach.
Yeah, it makes me kind of think about like the honeymoon phase in relationships where you like you're like, "Oh no, I want this relationship. I want it to be mine. I want to seal the deal." And then you
Mhm.
look back and you're like, "Why did I like forward that so fast when I could have really enjoyed that like sweet honeymoon phase of like that
Mhm.
buildup of that." It's very tantric,
Mhm.
honestly. Like the buildup of which, let me rewind. Tantric is not just sexual.
Yeah.
Tantric is sensual. It's all the senses. And so when you are in the in between, it's
Mhm.
very much so like a tantric process because
Yeah.
you are being asked to be in the moment, to feel all the things,
To
to
relish.
watch it all
Mhm.
unfold, to just like love where you're at.
Mhm.
Because one day you're going to be forward and you're going to look back and be like, wow, what a bittersweet time that was.
Yeah.
That I was here not having to bust my ass doing this over here, to make
Yeah.
this happen or not in this relationship making this shit happen or these arguments are happening. I
Mhm.
was back here in the honeymoon phase. So
Yeah.
it's
The grass isn't always greener in all of its areas.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you feel like has helped you the most while you've been in the in between to really ground you in to those moments?
Yeah, well, first like a little mental breakdown. I feel like I feel like a good little mental breakdown like typically works wonders because typically there's so much anxiety, there's so much frustration, there's so much sadness, there's all of these emotions, yeah,
Confusion.
that are within me that it's like, well, if this, then why not that? Or if this, then why not now? And am I going cuckoo cuckoo? And what is this? So I got to have a little mental breakdown first. And and then like pick up the pieces and be like, girly pop, like, okay, you needed to release all that energy and those emotions and pull yourself back together and like tap into the knowing again and trust it and
Yeah.
believe it and surrender to it. I'm hoping that one of these days I will be able to immediately skip to that process without having the mentee be first. But a good mental breakdown I feel like is good for the soul every now and then. Sometimes you just gotta really just like purge it all out.
Release it.
Yeah, release all of the shit and cry and be angry and whatever the case may be and then get back to it, you know?
Yeah,
And
because healing is a spiral,
it is.
and it's not linear, and
Yeah.
it's not like healing is not like, oh, I operate always at 532 hertz. No,
Yeah, right,
it's not like
right.
I always am operating at joy and happiness and gratitude, like, or
Exactly.
else you're not even living life then at that
No,
point.
no.
But I think that also you're still young, so I think that
Yes.
I do want to throw that out there because give yourself grace
Mhm.
because you are allowed to have those mentee bees, those emotional breakdowns, embrace them, feel
Mhm.
them. But as you age, you start to like be like, well, that's going to be a waste of my energy
Right.
because I already know it's going to work out
Right.
one way or the other. Whatever's destined for me, whatever's meant to be
Mhm.
is going to play out. And for the most part, I don't have to do a whole hell of a lot to
Yeah.
make it happen. I just got to take one step.
I think that for the most part in my life, I'm pretty grounded in that way, like in respecting things as they are, or seeing like, okay, well, this person is acting cuckoo cuckoo on me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue with them. It's not worth my time or my energy. Like, they can go ahead and exist in that energy, but they're not getting no energy from me, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that I exist in that energy when it comes to certain things that push me away from stability, like
Mm-hmm.
feeling stable, whether that's financially, whether that's within the home space, like the core things,
Yeah.
job, career, love, right? Like, but I think that for the most part in every other area of my life, I'm pretty grounded and pretty like chill with that. But when those things do hit me, it's a very intense like process of like, whoa, I feel like I had the earth like knocked under my feet and like I have to release all this feeling of so that I can get back to grounded. And sometimes that takes a little bit.
Yeah, and I think also, like what I was saying with age,
Mhm.
like it's not funny, but it is funny, and because I'm looking back on it, and I'm 10 years your elder here, but like
You don't have to tell the people that.
the financial situation of like you being like, well, I've never had to ask for help.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? You've never asked for help or money?
Yeah.
And you're like, no. And I'm like, okay. Well, that's where it's coming from because you've never been in this spot before. But as you like have more experiences of being in those same spots, you're like, I've been here before.
Yeah. Very true.
I know how it's played out.
Yeah.
Look where I'm at now. Like it's okay. Because I know I've definitely asked a handful of people for some financial help throughout my life, and even strangers, honestly. Like I remember I was telling you about how one time I had to ask for money at a gas station, and I had no way of getting money, and this is kind of like back in the day before, you know, like a little Venmo could happen. But yeah, it's just like once you've gone through certain circumstances that do rock those core things in your life and realize like, oh, that core part of my life can be rocked and I still come out bigger, better, stronger.
Yeah.
So it does come with time, I think. And, you know, I say this and God, let me knock on some wood because there's always going to be something I think that's new that you're like, oh, I have not encountered this before. So probably a mental breakdown will ensue, but it's embracing that mental breakdown.
Yeah.
But what do you do to get through your mental breakdown?
A lot of praying.
Yeah.
A lot of talking to my people, my homies, my council, Big Daddy G, Girls, Gays, Theys, my ancestors, spirit team, Mr. Owl, Wing that's over on my counter. My whole gang. I talk to them heavy and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? Send me some feathers. I need some feathers.
A few feathers, one big feather, send me a feather.
I need a feather. And then the universe sent me a whole ass owl. I was like, okay, I guess everything's gonna be fine. And so really like leaning to the universe is a huge piece of like that comfort that I need. Leaning on my support system, you for sure, you know, I be like, girl, I'm going through it, and vice versa. Like we're there for each other in all of those ways. It's so necessary.
One or the other.
Yeah, one or the other. It's one or the other.
Can I just say my prayer right now? God, spirit team, in my highest interest and Kayla's highest interest, can you please have us be on equal playing fields where neither one of us are having a mentee be?
Yeah, I know. It's always like that. It's like one or the other. And it's good because we can support the other. But it's like, God, we're gripping for dear life as we're holding on to the other, trying to get them not to fall off the ledge. And then you pull that one up and then you're falling down the ledge and they grab you. And it's literally just switching. Just switching. It really is. Switching. Who's going to jump today? Like,
you know what? It's like, can we have the in-between?
Yeah. The in-between of that?
Begging for that. Can we have the in-between?
I don't know, but we wouldn't have our highs. I feel like.
True.
You know? And we do have moments of in-between.
And we do, yeah, we honestly do.
It's as we meet and then we meet.
Yeah, we're like, we'll literally meet in the kitchen. We're like, oh, you're good? Yeah, I'm good. Oh,
okay.
Which one?
Yeah, we're like, all right. I know what kind of day I'm going to have today. Like, it's great. And it's great because we can just determine how we're going to feel just based off of the other and where we're at. So that's great. But really talking to my guides, a little mentee B, and then of course just like the standard practices of like yoga and there are so many times where I've just been going through it and I like have to go teach a class, or not have to, I get the opportunity to go and teach a class, and I'll go and I'm like, God, I really am not in the energetic space to offer today. Like today is like I've been crying in the car and I got to go teach this yoga class, you know? And I show up and I teach and it's a beautiful class and I always leave feeling better. Yeah. So sometimes it's like doing the things that you know are good for you that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And feeling energetically grounded. It's like you have to feel energetically grounded and balanced. Yeah. That's like priority number one. And so whatever it is you have to do in order to get there is whatever it is that you have to do.
Yeah. And I feel like for me, my grounding, like yoga, yes, but I have to get in nature. Like I have to get in nature or meditate and imagine myself in nature if I can't get into, you know, the woods, if I can't put my feet in the dirt and the mud. I think that is like my number one immediate, quick grounding force.
Yeah.
And then Usually I'll pull some cards.
Oh, 1,000%. We're sluts for pulling cards.
Yeah, my oracle cards really speak to me. And of course it's my guides, my spirit guides speaking through the cards to me.
The ancient capybara.
Yeah.
I love him.
Maybe he was your guide coming to me.
I don't know. I just love him so much. Like, I feel like the fact that I have so much love for him, like, he's got to be around here somewhere. He didn't just, like, pop up and then just, like, dip out.
Not the way he was moving.
He said.
Really, though. It was like elephant trucks, like.
I think about turtle arms. Like, how turtle arms just kind of move. Like, turtle arms and legs.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah. The energy.
But maybe a little bit slower. Very wise capybara.
Our ancient capybara.
Yeah.
Love him. But I'm sorry, continue.
Your
Your guides.
Oh, just that's how I speak to my guides mainly is my oracle decks and asking a question or even tarot cards and asking a question. And, you know, the crazy thing is that it always is the message that you need to hear. Always.
And even if it's the message that you've been hearing consistently, because this is like the third card that we've pulled in the same day, or we've pulled cards every single day. And the craziness about sometimes it being the exact same card.
Every time for like a month straight.
Yeah. It's like, I get it, but like, tell me something else.
Yeah, tell me a little bit more. Like, let's talk about this. Like, let's have a conversation.
And your guides are like, no, you don't. This is all you need.
Yeah, you're not ready. You're not ready for it.
Mm.
And the in between, you're not ready for the next part. You're having to embrace that. And it's like, okay, if you're pulling the same damn card, you're still not learning that lesson, or it's still time for you to embrace that information.
Yeah. Because we talk about all the time, like, well, why hasn't this happened yet? And why haven't we gotten that? And why didn't we do this? And it's like taking a moment of like, well, do we actually have the infrastructure and the ability to hold what it is that we're asking for? Do we have the energetic capacity to handle all of that right now? And the answer 9 times out of 10 is no.
Yeah. And it's a hard no.
And it's a hard no.
Yeah, and it's like a hard no to digest too.
Yeah.
Like I'm specifically thinking about like, I want to meet the love of my life. I want to meet this stable man who marks my entire list of everything that I have. And then I think about, well, if that man came through right now, like how would I be ready? Like would I be prepared? And absolutely not.
Like, and it's just like a thank God that
it's like a hard no. I would not be like, because that man would be like teaching me things and putting me basically in my place, and I'd be like, you're right. I'm not even listening to my own wisdom. Like really is where I'm at. So it's. You have to like understand and accept and know, inner knowing, that it's not that time. Yeah, it's not that time, and like there's still more to unfold. Yeah, to set you up for success.
Exactly, and just because it's not right now doesn't mean that it's not ever.
Yeah,
you know, I think that there's so many things that have happened in my life where I'm just like, I didn't think that this thing would ever happen, and it's like, but yeah, it did happen. You know, or things that you're just like manifesting towards and just. Not even intentionally, just like, oh, it'd be nice if this happened. And then next thing you know, however many years later, boom, that happened. Me and my Range Rover.
Oh,
you know what I
girl.
mean? Like something that I never had even really considered like, oh, this is a goal that I'm going to set for myself. So the universe, it's always operating in its mysterious ways. And there's always something that we're in the in-between and we're in the process of. Like for me, I'd say that my in-between has like what's been really heavy in my experience right now is like this idea of like sobriety and what that actually means and what that looks like and why, right? Abstaining from certain things, certain behaviors. And I was celibate for an extended period of time, not no more in case I don't really know if I have to share that, but you know, but I am in a completely different space right now, so that something that wasn't maybe for me at the moment maybe so now, right?
Yeah.
But specifically about sobriety, having a moment when I was, you know, hanging out with my old homies and going out and typically just like, no, I don't want to drink. I don't want to have a cocktail. I'm good. And then deciding like, you know what? Fuck it. I want a margarita. And that margarita turned into another half of a margarita. And that half of a margarita turned out to going out on the streets and having a beer and then buying a vape and then going to Whataburger and then texting people I shouldn't have been texting, and like all the things that unfolded into that process and into that experience just from that one choice. And being like, I have been doing so well on this journey. And in one moment, I just
Yeah.
let it all go to shit. In my mind is what I was thinking.
Well, and also I think, though, there's something to be said about the uncomfortableness of being in the in-between, where sometimes you seek the comfort of the things that you know.
Exactly.
And what better comfort than alcohol, where it's like mask any feelings usually and like disappear from this world and anything that you've been feeling. It's gonna it helps you go back to the past.
Well, the thing that was interesting is that I didn't at the moment, and maybe there were some feelings that were deep within myself in that time that I was trying to like numb, but it was just so crazy how so quickly in one moment, just like, yeah, I'm gonna have a margarita. And you know me, like I'm not going to the bars. I'm not, I'm like, no, I don't want to drink. I don't need a margarita. Like, I'm not doing the things. And just in that one moment, just so happened to walk by a space that has margarita. I look at the margarita machine and I'm with someone that I used to drink with heavily. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to have a margarita.
Yeah. And then you go right back
To all of the old habits that I had before really tapping into this journey.
that you utilize to comfort yourself.
Exactly.
Probably unconsciously, like,
Exactly.
utilizing those things.
Exactly.
Not having intention behind it.
Exactly.
And I think that is part of the in-between in the process, is that we want a guarantee of something. I don't care if it's the guarantee of, like, the future, whatever idea that we have. It's like, the guarantee of something that I know is even more comfortable than the guarantee of the unknown that I'm working towards.
Absolutely.
And so sometimes we sit in the in-between for a long amount of time that we just, I don't want to say snap, but we're just like, fuck it. Like, I just want this right now. Like, this is just what I want right now.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna feed that urge within me. And so it's like choosing to stay conscious and intentional in the in-between is so hard to do. But like, if you want to get to the next spot, the future that you have that inner knowing about, you have to.
Well, the interesting thing about it was, I was so hard on myself after. Like, I was so upset. It's like, I'm a fake, I'm a fraud.
You're like, I think I need to go and announce that
I need to repent that I had a drink, that I fucked up, and I'm not like I'm not the highest version of myself, like just literally going through a whole, in my ego, breakdown. Truly, it was all ego at that point. And then afterwards, just like sitting there talking to my gang, my gaggle of spirit people, and just getting that message of just like, honey, like, you needed to have that experience to remind you why you don't do those things anymore. And when I had that, I was like, oh my God, Eureka, like, thank you. Like, there was purpose behind that. And it's not to spiritually bypass, like, oh, I'm going to go and make this decision and just see how I feel and see, but it's like, from that, after I had that experience, there was so much just negativity and ickiness and darkness and just grossness that I felt within myself, of just like, this is not at the frequency that I'm about. This is not where I put my energy. This is not, and this whole experience has nothing to do with anyone that was involved in any capacity. It was all me and my choices and the things that I did in that time that led me to where I went to, which was, the calling of the people I shouldn't have been calling, and then going out and shaking my butt and buying a vape and, and all the other things, and eating the water beezy, like all the things that I shouldn't have done. And so, recognizing that the in-between is just that, it's the in-between. And if you do falter in some capacity, or if you don't feel like you're growing fast enough, or if you don't feel like you're in a space where you think you should be, to know that like you are simply in the in between, and there is no timeline for that process. There is no timeline from when you get from point A to point B. And that journey, like you said, is not linear. And to know that with the ups, there will be downs, but it's up to you to really utilize those downs to teach you something, and to really continue to use that to propel yourself back up.
Yeah, I was
You
just
know?
like having this visualization of where it's like you have the ups and then you have the downs, but hopefully it starts to like go like this.
Exactly.
And so where your downs aren't so down and your ups are
Exactly.
much higher.
Exactly.
And that's like the growth
Exactly.
and the goal.
Exactly.
But I think, you know, the in between is so uncomfortable for all of us that we do look for a comfort. And so the whole, to get, you know, from down here, ping ponging down here to ping ponging up here, it's really important to find the new comforts in that in between to keep you ping ponging up at the top.
Yep.
Because, like, I know for me with this new serving job, where it's like the transition from the 9 to 5 to like the 3:30 to 1 a.m. How do you come down from a serving job where you're collecting all these people's energies and running around and your adrenaline is going and your mind is moving a million miles a minute and you cannot fall asleep? And I think recently I'm also on the sobriety journey with you now, and having that realization, like, I cannot go back to that. I cannot keep poisoning my body and having the consequences that does, and how I behave when I drink and all of that. I cannot keep doing that. It's not aligned with me anymore. And it's going to be a struggle, and I'm not holding myself to anything but one day at a time. And so, you know, I like to test myself. So I go out after work. There's been a couple times where I'll go to the bar after work with coworkers. I want to get to know them. And I've been able to successfully have a mocktail. And I'm so proud of myself for that, because what a temptation to be around these people coming from that adrenaline energy and trying to come down off of that.
Yeah.
But it's finding those new comfortabilities to take care of yourself in those new scenarios and moments in a better way than you have previously. And so, you know, of course, it's like the mocktail moment of like slowly getting work out of your system. And then I know my last shift, I like came home, took a hot shower. I did smoke weed, so that was helpful.
Cali sober?
Yeah, I'm Cali sober, but took a hot shower, did some yoga, and then listened to some like healing frequency music. Maybe a little tarot card video too.
Hell yeah. Get a little information while you're at it, Hanny.
And so, and journaling. That was huge for me. I had a really big night that night at work. And so letting all of my thoughts come out and all of my like Tiffany's epiphanies come out on the paper.
Oh, Tiffany's epiphanies. I love that. We need to have a segment. Tiffany's epiphanies segment.
I'm down. But yeah, having all of that, those comfortabilities, the things that I do already, but like in a new situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like take care of myself the best ways I know how.
Yeah.
But with the new facts of my life.
Yeah.
Of my in-between life.
Yeah, exactly.
Of my transition that's going on.
Constantly revamping your I read this on TikTok the other day, your dopamine menu.
Yeah.
And like what is going to help you feel good. And also in exchange help you release whatever it is that you need to let go of energetically from like and de-stress from that for sure. Yeah. Which is huge because you love a mezcal margarita.
Oh my God, don't even mention it.
I know.
I know. It just tastes so good.
I know, and I love a frozen margarita. Like, I don't even need the fucking tequila. I just want the frozen experience.
Yeah, and you know, they have these new liquors that have come out like
zero proofs,
like vodka and whatever. Yeah. And I'm about to load the house up with some zero proof mezcal if it's out there.
I mean, I'm sure it is.
Yeah,
I'm sure it is. But if we can make a frozen virgin margarita, then you won't ever hear me ask for another margarita
I
ever. Because
know.
that's the thing. Like, I love a frozen margarita, not on the rocks. She gotta be thick.
Well, the good thing too, like I've done sobriety for like I think maybe up to 8 months one time, variety different times for whatever reasons, more like whole food diet type of thing. But I was always craving beer. Beer, I loved it so much. But since realizing that I have like a really bad reaction to gluten, I actually don't crave beer as much anymore at all. And it's just been a lot of time and process of kind of going there, coming back, going there, coming back. So I'm pretty happy about that. And it's a journey. It's, you know, it's just part of it is you level up, and even your cells change every 7 years. Your
cellular,
but then add "ly" to that.
Cellularly
Changed every 7 years.
Yeah.
I can't say that right now.
Yeah, it's okay.
Thank you.
I got you
for supporting me.
Yeah.
Also, earlier you said Eureka, and I just want to say Eureka's Castle. You have no idea what that is.
Before my day.
Yes, for sure. But it's like, I don't hear that much, but it played in my mind and I needed to get it out.
Okay, cute.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you had that moment.
Thank you. It was a little puppet show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But anyways,
very cute.
Back to the in-between.
Back to the in-between. Everything's in between.
It really is. And I feel like, you know, we were talking maybe on the last episode about how we ask for signs. Like, please give me a sign, give me a sign. Because when you have this inner knowing of like wanting to go forward to the future self and being like, I know that's meant for me. I know that's where I'm supposed to be. Why am I not there? But then being like, show me a sign. Like, show me a sign that I know that I'm meant to be there. And you have a sign. Then you ask for another sign. And the signs come, you know, they really do. And I feel like that has been like that's been a big support for me is asking for signs.
Oh, you will ask for a sign.
Yeah.
You will ask for a sign. And the sign will come.
And the signs are delivered
and
for me.
Sometimes the sign is a $600 tip.
You know? Yeah, that's signs are huge. Like, even if you don't, I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you definitely probably believe in spirituality, unless you just really fucking love us, which you
hope
do.
Is the case.
Yes, we love you too. Big love, big hearts. But you're asking for signs, you know, I think. And if you're not asking for signs, test the universe.
You're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, test the universe. Ask for a sign and make it clear. Like, the other day speaking of the $600 tip, the other day I was really low, really low on my self-worth. And like going through all my past of like, nobody wants me. Everybody in my life's always abandoned me. Like, I'm not worth keeping. Like, nobody's going to want to love me. And I even asked for you. I was like, can you tell me why I'm worthy? And I, you know, of course I was doing my own work and whatnot. And I was like, God, clearly I'm still working through this. Like, this is my biggest wound for sure. My self-worth and from all the things I've been through in my life. And I was like, can I get like a sign of some support in regards to my self-worth and maybe what I need to do with my self-worth to like heal that and to just show me, you know, that I am worthy. Like, I just need support. It's not even, I didn't even ask for like a clear sign, you know. Sometimes I'd be like, give me a $600 tip tonight, honey. But I didn't. And then I'm like looking around at all the license plates. I'm looking at the butterflies. I'm like, is it a sign? Is it a sign? Is it a sign? No sign. I go to work. And this guest at work asked me if I deserved the tip that he was going to give me. And it was 40% on a $2,000 bill. And I didn't know what to say. And you know me, I'm just... all I've got is the truth within me. I'm not gonna be like, put that times that by 2, like put 100% of
zero on that.
Yeah, what are you doing with this? Like, you don't think I'm, you know? But no, I was like, well, I think that this could have been better, but overall, I did my best, and I know that I did my best. Like, that's all I can give you. And he gave me a $600 tip. And of course, I'm still buzzing about at work. And then finally I come home and you're in bed and I have this Tiffany's epiphany. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I got a sign of my worth, literally. Like, this man did not need to tip me more than 20%. He did not need to tip me $600. He did not need to ask me if I was worth that money.
If you thought you were worth that money.
If I thought I was worth that money, right.
If you thought
yes.
you were worth that.
Yeah. And I remember telling you the next day, like, that right there showed me, one, I am worthy. Like, me by myself, I am worthy of, like, just kind of like this unthinkable amount. And especially in that scenario, you know?
Right.
But not only that, I'm as worthy as I say I am. Like, I'm as worthy as I tell everyone, that I put out in the universe energetically, that I tell people. Like, I claim my worth. I declare my worth.
1000%.
And when I do that and I believe my worth, then that's going to come through larger than a $600 tip.
Right.
And in bigger ways and different ways.
1000%. Because you attract likeness based off of the frequency that you're existing in.
Yeah.
So if you're in a low vibrational frequency, like, low vibrational energies is going to be making themselves very apparent. It still happens when you're at a higher frequency because light attracts darkness. But when you're existing in a high vibrational frequency, then you're more in alignment and bumping lives with other high vibrational experiences, people, energies, you name it. Yeah, that was huge.
It was huge. And that was just, what, yesterday? Or 2 days ago?
Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday night.
Yeah.
Today's Monday.
Today's Monday.
Yeah. So I'm just, like, still, like, thinking about it and how I know that that had to happen.
Yeah.
And play out
1000%.
the way it did and when it did in this in between. Because in order for me to go forward and ask for the money that I deserve for the women's circles that I'm hosting, to ask for the money that I deserve for the coaching that I'm offering, for the styling that I do, to go forward and know my worth when I am stepping out and trying to find a man, like, that had to happen for me to level up to my future self and what I'm wanting. So, like, that is the beauty of the in-between. That's where your lessons are. That's when you slow down and you're like, oh, like, I've been saying, like, August was a very slow, albeit fleeting. It was very slow because I came back to myself and the things that fill me and ignite me and my passions and the things that I'm thankful and grateful for. And the things that I want, and just really slowing down and taking that time to reflect. And also the Mercury in retrograde, like, begs of you to do that. And you have to, or else you want to be messy.
Well, and that's the funny thing about Mercury retrograde is, like, you're literally, like, excavating the past, past belief systems, habits, people, and what's bigger way to talk about the in-between than looking back and seeing how looking back, like, what pieces of that past is still present in your current reality, so that the things that you don't want, how do you make sure it's not in your future?
Yeah. And it's the reflection, because you can't grow if you're not willing to reflect and learn from the past and move forward in that way. So it's been this, I'm very proud of both of us, actually, because I feel like this in-between moment that we've been in Mercury retrograde, we definitely had our failures, or a test, rather, I guess. Not failures. Nothing's a failure.
Yeah.
But we've had our test. But wow, have we learned from those.
Yeah.
And thought about those in a much different way.
Yeah.
And I think both of us really leaned into our worth and our worthiness and our community and our support system.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like really still trying to like, of course, I'm like, as we're talking about the in between, I'm like, but what's next?
Girl,
But what's
my
next?
God. Honestly,
I did it. What's next?
Honestly, girl, a bitch is tired. I'm so tired.
Are you enjoying the in between?
I'm this moment right now, I am enjoying of like finally feeling like I feel like I expressed this to you of like being a baby in the womb and like getting ready to be birthed through the vaginal canal and like existing in fight or flight whilst in the stress of the vaginal canal and just waiting to be pushed out and like to take my first breath and be like, oh, like
You don't
I'm
feel like you
here.
have yet?
I feel I am pretty much there.
You're crowning or
No,
like
I feel like I'm
do
like
you have oxygen?
like I feel like I'm like like I'm not like I think I could take my first breath. I'm like, but the rest of me isn't out yet.
Yeah.
I'm very close. I'm very close to being fully
You haven't
birthed.
had your exhale.
I haven't, yeah.
Or your full inhale.
Exactly. I just
Yeah.
got a little, that's
Yeah.
where I'm at right now.
Sip of air.
But I'm very much so looking forward to just being grounded in what is now my current reality because it's very different than what my previous reality was. I just want to get grounded in that first before I'm starting to be like, what's next? Because I tell you what, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. And
Yeah.
I think that after overcoming whatever the fuck that last month was and the month prior to that, and just seeing what happens when you really trust the universe, like when you're really in alignment, you trust the universe and you jump to see if it'll catch you, and it does.
Mm-hmm.
I think that alone has like eliminated a lot of feelings of anxiety and what if and what's next and oh well this didn't work and we haven't done this here and I'm not tripping about it. I'm not tripping about any of it anymore. I'm fully believe that everything's meant to happen when it's meant to happen in divine timing for its own reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever is meant to be next will be next. And we're just going to do what it is that we can do while we're in the in-between. And whenever the universe decides it's ready for the next phase and the next step of our journeys together, because it's always happening together at the same time, then it's like, okay, game time. But right now, I think the universe is going to give us a little moment to ground in.
Oh, totally. And we have to give our own selves a little moment to ground in. Like, I haven't even fully implemented the purpose of this transition.
Yeah.
You know, like the transition is still transitioning.
It's still transitioning. And the transitions, I feel like have been, and we were talking about this just the other day, of like the in between of like actively deciding that you're going to leave your legal career and just saying like, fuck this, I'm done. And saying, peace out, that's it. And then deciding to go and work a job that is very different than what it was you were working before, just as a means for financial income. And also, of course, all the blessings that you receive from that, from life lessons and all of that, and blessings that you receive from that time. But that was just a piece of the in-between to get you closer to, what was next. And then leaving there and now working, in the serving, it's creating more room and more opportunity for you to be another step closer into full-time purpose, right?
Yeah.
And that's another step of the in-between. And then the next step is, whatever the next step may be. Like I thought like, oh, okay, well, once I'm done nannying, then I'm fully in my purpose. Cause, I'm only working 2 days a week serving. So most of my, time elsewhere is spent teaching yoga or existing in that energy, but also not realizing like, honey, like you have made it officially to your goal of like being a yoga teacher full time, but this is not it. This is not the purpose. You're not here fully doing what your purpose is. And I don't know what my purpose fully is yet. It hasn't been fleshed out. I'm also not tripping about it. Like the universe is gonna, whatever that unknown gift is, whatever the universe wants to drop some tea, I'll be ready to sip on it. But I have this huge just like awareness of like, this is just another step of the in-between. And I thought this was the finish line.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Yeah.
It's just the in-between.
No, completely. I think we're always like, we're just humans. So we're like pretty nearsighted or farsighted, where we only see things like close up and we can't see the big picture. And if we saw the big picture,
I'd be overwhelmed, honey.
And would we really like, be like, okay, I'll play the parts
Yeah.
and I'll move my piece. We wouldn't. And so I think that's the beauty of it. Like, that is the beauty of life, is being in the moment, being in the in-between. And I think, Virgo season is upon us. It's here, actually. The new moon, I think, is today.
Oh, wow.
In Virgo. And so Virgos, they love to plan. They love to know what's next. They love to get things done. And I feel that a lot based on parts of my natal chart. But that's what's really hard for me, is like, okay, I get wanting and needing to stay in the in-between and relish in that and embrace that and be in the moment. And that's the joy and the beauty of life. But like, how much prep do I need to be doing to make sure that I am ready and I do have the stability and the foundation for the future that I'm calling in, that I have the inner knowing is there.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you know, like, oh, I need to be doing a little bit more work so that I can get to that future spot and be ready for that, versus how do I just like sloth in this in between, like.
I think that that we can only do what we can do.
Yeah.
And we really should be flowing through life with ease. And if we have the time and the space to do something, then we do something. If we don't have the time and the space to do that thing, then we're not meant to do that thing just then. Because if we don't have the time and the space, we also don't have the energy. And if we don't have the energy, we're not going to be able to truly create or co-create whatever it is that you're wanting to be. Right? And so that's kind of where I've been now, of like honoring myself when I need rest, because I can't create something in its totality, in the beauty that I would like it to be, if I don't have my rest. And we both know neither one of us can pour from an empty cup. And so as much as we might want something to be right then and there, the universe sees the effort. The universe puts things in front of you when it's supposed to be. And there's times of rest and there's times of activity and active work. And I think that if we really leaned into not our ego and what we think we should be doing, but really tapped into like, what do we feel like we should be doing, then we would have that answer.
Yeah. Okay, honey.
Ooh,
take us to church, baby. You just channeled a little something from my mama above.
I feel like that was
yeah.
something.
Yeah. It really, because I had like so many examples I wanted to give you, and that answered every example that I wanted to give you. Yeah. Like, for sure, because it's not necessarily like, oh, how do I know when I need to prep or do this or take a step in this way? It's like, do you feel like you can? Do you energetically, internally feel like you can?
Right.
And if not, then it's not time, babe. It's not time. And that's like in and of itself comforting.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't feel like you can energetically do that, then it's not time yet. So you can just sit back.
Yeah.
Relax.
Yeah.
Enjoy the moment. Enjoy life as it is right here, right now, the beauty of wherever you are, and choosing to see the beauty in it.
Yeah.
Always.
Absolutely. I feel like that alleviates a lot of anxiety, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's why I appreciate about you getting your rest during this time. And oh, I've been sleeping and I need my sleep, and then doing this, and I've just been in bed, and I'm like, good. You should be doing exactly that. Because if you don't do that, how are you supposed to rest? Like, how are you supposed to then get the energy that you need to do any of the other things that you even want to do, like enjoy doing?
Yeah.
If you don't even have the energy to just like get up and walk around in the house, it's like you gotta restock and replenish your energy before you can do literally anything else.
Yeah.
I
completely know. And I want to end on this note. Something that I journaled the other day about, I'm working behind the scenes to continue to develop my coaching and my style coaching programs. And one thing that came to me from thee, they, them, him, shem.
Him, shem, dumb.
Was the transformation that comes from the transitions. Like, only in the transitions can you have your transformation.
Yep.
And so to embrace whatever transition you're in, because you know that's where like the honey is going to come from. That's where the beauty is going to come from. That's where you create your next version of you, your next product, your next vision.
Yeah.
That's how you see that through.
Mm-hmm. And they say that when you're most at rest, when your energy is most calm, when you're feeling the most grounded, like in meditation, that's when things become the most clear for you. And that's when the idea comes.
Yep.
That's when the decision comes. That's when, you know, the universe is like, I can push this out for you and you can recognize it for what it is and not it just being a fleeting whatever.
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
And that's a good foundation for how we even ended up here.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
That was one of the thoughts that had come, and we've been in the in-between of that, and we're still in the in-between of this, you know?
We're in a transition.
We're in a massive transition.
Which means this is only going to transform, honey.
Exactly. I mean, and look at where we are. We're in this beautiful studio space. Look at these microphones. Like, hello. I just want to do some ASMR. Like how they do in YouTube.
No, I know. But I was like trying to think of what my ASMR is. My lisp. That actually is I felt that like my neural
like
pathways like really kind of like, kind of like that.
Oh yeah, feeling like
oh that too. Oh. It's like a massage.
Oh.
Oh no, have you watched the videos where they're doing Reiki? They're like, I see in your heart, I'm pulling out. Actually, I should do it towards the video. I'm doing it towards the microphone. I'm pulling the negative energy from your heart space, throwing it away. Throwing it away. I bet I just performed some Reiki on someone. You're welcome.
And that was for free $99, honey.
Put this behind a paywall.
Yeah, this one's going to go behind the paywall. Well, what a beautiful conversation. I hope that whoever's listening, if they find themselves in the in-between, well, we are all in the in-between, but if you find yourself actively struggling because you want to be wherever and you're wherever, like, just calm down. Like,
enjoy it.
Chill out. Like, really, like, I feel like if we all would just chill out just a little bit.
Enjoy the ride.
Exactly. Just let life flow. Do what you can.
Because it's bittersweet, honey.
That's all we can do.
Yep.
That's all we can do. So hopefully you guys receive something from this.
And please like or comment. Really, honestly, comment.
Yeah.
If you have any things that you related to, any advice. We're a community that we're trying to create and build. And so the comment section is definitely a place where that can happen. If you have any suggestions for other topics that you need help with, we would love those. Concerns, slide into our DMs. We're here for you.
Yep.
And thank you, Kayla.
Thank you, Tiffany.
For this wonderful time.
Thank you.
As always.
Oh, there we go. E. I love it. All right. Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.
Bye.